Are they ready in terms of the?
Cameron, are you good?
Okay, the first on the agenda is the highway department. Tony?
First one is to fill the budgeted position of assistant general foreman. This is a position that's been vacant since, I believe, December of 2020. We have 4 positions total, or 3 of these positions total. This one would be filling that vacant position, knowing that one of the current positions will become vacant in March due to a retirement, and we want to get somebody in for the winter. Those four guys, the general foreman and the 3 assistant general foremen, they do quite a bit. Their duties, they all have separate duties throughout the year, and a lot of that has become more and more since the current influx. I mean, driveway permits, bridges, insurance claims.
So when would this guy start? When would he start? January?
He would start, yeah. Well, if you had I guess it would be the December full board meeting.
Okay.
We have 2, I believe, or 3 on the current civil service list, so we'll be promoting from within. So, we'd probably promote in December, and get them on in the rotation for January.
So we need a motion.
Yeah, John and I just had talked earlier.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So we're
Carried.
not doing any backfills on this one?
Did I have backfills?
It doesn't say.
Doesn't.
No, I didn't put.
Do you
backfill.
want in backfill?
Yeah, we have to do backfills because it's gonna open up a foreman spot
So we're gonna add in any backfills.
and any backfill.
Okay, next.
And the next is to fill 2 vacant budgeted positions of motor equipment operator 1. And that's to fill 2 vacancies due to resignations.
I'll move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do we add backfills to this as well?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Department of Social Services.
Good afternoon. Just one request today. It's a request to fill one social services investigator position, grade 12A, base salary $46,662, and any backfills created there from the employee who resigned from this position, went on up to the state.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
This is an internal promotion,
No, the gentleman went to the state.
so your hire will be not internal, but
We have to go off a list.
okay.
Yeah, it won't be internal.
Next, Office for the Aging.
Okay, one request to fill vacant budgeted full-time site worker position due to result of resignation.
I'll move that. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Sheriff.
Noon, everyone. The first request would be to authorize or fill a budgeted full-time deputy sheriff's position, the base salary of $51,665 due to resignation, individual transfer over to the state police.
Move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Is that the fellow that just started?
He hasn't even
When I just
finished
came into the academy?
hasn't even finished the academy. He left the academy early to go to the station.
So that's the resignation.
Correct. The second and last is to authorize a vacant budgeted full-time cook's position in the facility, the jail. Salary is $36,946. This individual became a full-time corrections officer and resigned from the
Move it.
cook's position.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Sheriff, what do we have to pay our deputies to prevent them from going to the state?
We couldn't.
Can't afford it?
I think year two is a $26,000 difference from county to state. So they're going at about a $6,000 difference, and by year two, it's already about 26,000. We'd have to come up with a lot of money.
What do the other counties do to prevent this kind of thing? Do they pay up or do they also lose their deputies?
No, it's it's just a bigger fish in the pond kind of scenario. So, but we're coming up with some ideas to combat that. So I'd be happy to talk to you about some of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Mental health.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just two personnel resolutions today. The first of which has to do with, and there needs to be an edit on the resolution. I believe it's this Director of Community Services, which would be me.
Oh.
Our deputy. Yeah. I haven't resigned, at least as far as I know. So this speaks to my deputy director, who is also my clinic director, has opted to resign. So I'm asking for your support and permission to backfill that vacancy.
Move it. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, thank you.
When you say backfill, does that mean an internal transfer or are you gonna look outside?
The way I understand it from civil service and HR is that I have two options available to me. I can go external as well as internal promotional. Because we've had so much turnover, there are very few internal individuals that have been in their titles that are supervisory for long enough to justify promoting them into this particular title. I do have a few individuals internally. I've approached them. All but one has graciously declined. So I am speaking to that one individual, trying to gauge whether they'd like to be considered or not. All along, I've made it clear, though, that I would like to consider any and all candidates, meaning as I'm pursuing internal candidates, I'd also like to see what I'm able to yield externally. I just asked civil service to allow me to consider candidates from throughout the entire state, not just within Columbia County or the contiguous counties that we often draw from, because in this case, I feel I need to draw from the entire state. If a person is willing to relocate, I'd like to consider them.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
You bet. The second personnel resolution has to do with the behavioral health social worker vacancy. This is due to a resignation. So I would just like your permission to backfill this. Please keep in mind, we have, I believe at this point, 4 or 5 of these titles vacant. But anytime somebody resigns, I do ask for the backfill just to keep things current and tidy in terms of my vacancies.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Where did we lose these folks to?
The social worker was recruited by the Veterans Administration. She lives in Dutchess County. It was the VA out there, so it's more proximal to her, more money as well. In terms of my clinic director, she is opting to set up a private practice. There are other extenuating reasons that I could elaborate on, but it would either require a private conversation or going into executive session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jack. Health Department.
Okay, first resolution is a request to upgrade my service coordinators in early intervention to the same level as caseworkers at DSS and Office for the Aging. So to jump from a 13A to a 15. They do pretty much the same work. They carry a caseload of 30 to 40 children every month. They are not on call like DSS's workers are, but they do receive calls on the weekends that they handle. It's not a formal structure.
Move it.
Okay.
Can we handle this within the budget, or is there a budget amendment that needs to follow this?
Yes, Jim and Tim have been working on the 23 budget.
22 and we updated 23.
Okay. That was my goal.
So, need a motion?
I would,
Oh, yeah, motion second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Going to modify the next resolution to drop the create and fill a second community health worker Spanish speaking position. We're going to wait on this until I just didn't get the ducks lined up on this one. I don't have a real job description because we do want to have the second position or this created position being a supervisory coordinated manner. So I just want to be able to fill a soon to be vacant community health worker position. The individual in this position is migrating over to earlier intervention into one of the service coordinators position that was vacant last month due to a resignation.
So to be clear, you're just filling the community health worker Spanish speaking position.
That's all.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
And no backfills at this time.
Okay.
Yes.
Come back.
Don't come back. So
So we need a motion.
I'll move that.
Jim? Second, Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you, Jack.
Is there any other business? Okay, motion to adjourn.
motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah.
Meeting to order is November 15th, 2022, 4:01 PM. Mr. McDonald, we'll start with the Office of the Agent. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay, I've got two resolution requests. The first one's a general resolution request, requesting permission to purchase a vehicle up to $35,000. We've gone through the state bidding process twice, have come up with nothing. And met with the controller and he suggested that I bring this to my home committee to seek permission to go outside of those parameters to seek a vehicle. We've got $50,000 budgeted for it. We have found a vehicle across the river at one of the, I think it was Lacey's, for $31,000 for a Legacy. And we'd like to, get permission to proceed with purchasing that.
I'll move it.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All-wheel drive too, to get you around?
Yes.
Very nice.
Good. Actually, it's mostly for our aides for their home visits. Okay, my second resolution is a personnel resolution. I've gone to the point one committee earlier to fill a budgeted vacant full-time site worker position due to a resignation.
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
That's the only resolutions I have and available for any questions.
AIDS, how are they doing? Is there a backlog? Are we?
No,
Keeping up?
no, there's no backlog at all. There's no waiting list. We had 3 part-timers. One of them just left because actually she was from across the river and she had problems with the vehicle. And long story short, she left us. I put in our budget to see if we could change the 2 part-time positions to full-time positions for next year. Right now they're holding their own. We haven't had any backlog at all, and it's really a godsend. Really is. And we're kind of looked at around the state as one of the more progressive departments because we've done that, and I think a lot of other ones are starting to follow that now. So it's worked out very well.
Are you guys seeing a lot of HEAP applications?
Yeah. I was talking to Commissioner Gibson before to see if they were experiencing the same thing. Last year, the first week of open enrollment of the HEAP applications going out, we had 10 requests. This year we had 131. over that same time frame.
I heard people are paying $6 and $7 a gallon for fuel oil. right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I just spoke to one of the owners of the company, said that it's gonna be much worse. Fuel oil.
Yeah, and
Propane's gonna be fine.
and
Fuel
the
oil.
state went from what, up to 900, I think, Commissioner, I think from 600 to 900, and that's not gonna do it. That's not gonna do it at all. I'm sure, like I said, the heat emergencies start, I think, first week in January. We're already getting people coming in that they're just shocked. It's been so warm that they're getting their first deliveries, and they just, we've had people come in and they've been overheard saying that they've never had to apply for anything, and it's, I don't know. And the cold weather is just starting, so. But like I said, hopefully we'll be able to handle it. We've handled it so far. The two women that are doing the HEAP applications, they're keeping up with it, so.
Terrific, thank you.
How's, do you have enough drivers to deliver meals?
We're always looking for volunteers, always. It's, really, especially since you're from Hudson, especially in the Hudson area.
All right.
Okay, so if you have anybody, please send them our way.
Any further questions for Director McDonald? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, Mr. Jack Mann from Health.
Okay, first resolution, personnel related resolution. We did also go through point one a little while ago. I'm looking to increase my service coordinators who work in early intervention from 13A to 15, which is the same grade that comparable positions in DSS and Office for the Aging are. They're caseworkers. They carry a caseload of 30 to 40 children every month. And I want to create what I think, or fix what I think is an inequity in that. I'll move it.
Second.
Further discussion?
I will say that, it's in the 2023 budget, the increase is accounted for, so.
Yeah, our fiscal guy, Tim, and worked with Jim on it and, came up with the funds for it.
We had a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
So I'm going to modify this resolution as was also discussed with point one. I'm dropping the request to create and fill another Spanish-speaking community health worker. I will tell you that over the last couple of months, several of us have been meeting, Mr. Gibson included, to discussing the fact that we've had a pretty rapidly growing population of folks from Spanish-speaking countries who have come to Columbia County and stayed. There is a need, I think, for greater coordination. We'll be back probably in the spring to look for that position. In the meantime, my Spanish-speaking community health worker is transferring within our department over to one of the service coordinator positions in early intervention. She's great. She's going to be really difficult to replace, but this is grant funded and it is certainly a required position under the grant. So I'm looking to fill just one position, one community health worker Spanish speaking position.
I'll move that.
Second.
Discussion?
I was just gonna say, I will say that the money for the second position is in the 23 budget as well, so.
Fantastic. And it sounds like the departing employee was a fantastic resource.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Those are the only two resolutions I have. We have the director's report before you. I'll answer any questions.
You mentioned new regulations on the early intervention provisions. And you're saying it might actually affect the ability to provide services. Can you expand on that?
I don't really have the details on that from Anna. That was in her report, but they are pending. They are regulations under discussion, and specifically to the qualifications for providers. In other words, somebody who is going to come in and evaluate a child for speech or physical therapy. And they're making them more stringent at a time when it's impossible to find them, which is kind of typical in the state when it comes to, New York State in general. But it's going to make it very difficult to find providers. And we do have a waiting list specifically for speech right now. And these kids can't get services until they're evaluated. And there's just no evaluators in the county. The one plus an evaluator from Dutchess County has offered to come up one day a month, and we can get in 4 kids in that one day. It's going to help, but it's really a shame to have a waiting list for anything when it comes to children that are 2-3 years old and need those services. So those regulations generally are going to make it harder for us to recruit providers if they're promulgated.
The only other thing I noticed in the report, it looks like you now have a lot of people showing up for the 5+ Pfizer early adolescent shot.
No, I'm pleased enough with the numbers. Last Thursday, we did 58 COVID shots, mostly adult boosters. I was out there for an hour and a half of the 2.5 hours we're there. We might have had 3 kids come through, and that's it. So it's still a lot of older people getting the boosters. We're doing remarkably well with flu shots. I thought it was kind of interesting because, we did 21 last week. The one area that we're starting to slide on is that right after we did our COVID boosters, we did the Jynneos for monkeypox, and we only did four shots. So I think that the people who wanted the shot have pretty much got it. And I think that that's probably something that we're going to cease in December.
Any questions for Mr. Matt? Thank you, sir. Up next, we have Commissioner Gibson, Department of Social Services.
Good afternoon. Initially, I have a request to fill one social services investigator position, grade 12A, base salary $46,662, and any backfills created therefrom. This position came as a result of a resignation. Somebody moved on up to the state.
I'll move it. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, so requesting authorization to accept monies from the New York State Rental Supplement Program up to $129,741. It's an eligibility program, and with movement happening much more now than it was during the COVID period, those are monies that we will find very useful for people who need it.
Do I have a motion? Second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the third request is authorization to transfer funds from the insurance recoveries to the service repair account. And that is just basic accounting within my office, moving money around as the year is getting closer to the year.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And I'll just, I'm going to echo what Director McDonald said. This just early indications are it's going to be a tough winter. Mostly tough because folks are presenting with bills that they've never seen or haven't seen in quite some time. So, a bill that might have otherwise been $350 or $400 is $1,100 or $1,200. And these are working folks who don't otherwise have files open with us. So we have funds for that also from the state. And so, those are more emergency related funds, but it's there. Heat is up. It's up tremendously. And we'll need to supplement to director is right. We'll have to supplement even off of that. If some of these fuel deliveries are what people expect them to
Are
be.
people eligible for 100% of the winter? Or what's the actual dollar amount?
Well,
Or are they, I heard $900, right? But what is,
I thought that's what.
is that a total for the winter?
it can be, you can apply for, I think, some sort of waiver and get more. Because remember, some programs are different depending on whether it's fuel delivery.
Exactly, yeah.
What type, if it's propane. And you're also eligible for supplementation over that, in some other programs.
Based on income.
But it's gonna happen, is my point, either way, even for folks, remember, depending, eligibility is sort of, it slides. You know, people who aren't even eligible, but they just miss out, those folks are gonna need some help, so.
So how do they get money?
Well, they, interestingly enough, Kevin, I'm gonna
I didn't
spill
want
you
to
a
mention it
secret.
public, but we received a stipend of money from a local organization. And they specified that they would like us to use that for people who are just over the heat threshold, the guidelines. And we've kind of been meeting as far as how to distribute that or how to go about it. And it sounds like a sizable amount of money, but with the prices of fuel, it's going to be going quickly.
So that's discretionary?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we also have those funds from the state available. So we're probably going to be, as we always do, sharing clients and referring back.
What's the, I'm sorry.
Oh, right ahead.
What's the turnaround time between application and reimbursement usually?
Pretty quick. On an emergency, pretty quick. Yeah. And we have an arrangement with the highway department in case it happens on weekends. Okay. And you know, there's no way to get somebody out there. They have propane and they can get it out there. And so we've arranged. So we try to cover all the bases. The turnaround's pretty quickly. We have really good relationships with the
It
locals.
goes real quick. It goes
Yeah.
very quick. Because I've done a few myself when we were short staffed, and the turnaround time, it's almost automatic.
It is.
Once you get the paperwork filed, called your office, got them approved, they would call the fuel vendor, and it happened very quickly.
We've got good vendors too. So, you know, we're lucky on that score. I think we're as ready as we can be, but I expect to see some difficulty.
How is the homelessness?
Well, it's up in accordance with the time of year that we're in the cold weather.
Do you anticipate more this year than last year?
Well, it's been high. So we're ready for that. And that's higher than it was in previous years. So, yeah.
Are you running out of space?
Well, are we seeing more evictions?
I can't say that right now. I'm not sure that we're seeing that. We're just, you know, there's been holdovers and cold weather. It brings folks in. All right, well, thanks very much, folks.
Okay. Last but not least, Director Almasi. Human Services.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. I have a slew of resolutions to present to you today. I'd also like to give you an update at the end in terms of the opioid settlement conversation that we had last month. And then lastly, I'd like to ask that we go into executive session briefly to discuss a matter that I think is important to bring you up to date on. I've already discussed it with Home Committee Chair Collins, and Chairman Morell is aware of it. So I'll get to that in just 1 minute. I think we'll kick it off with one of the financial resolutions. asking for your support and authorization to continue to contract with numerous vendors. This is just to continue this relationship. And you see it here in front of you. I can answer any questions if you like.
I'll move it.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next financial resolution has to do with monies that we received from the Office of Addiction Services Supports. This is monies that is intended for the jail. So, the Department of Human Services is acting as the pass-through. This is to help support and operationalize the medication-assisted treatment program that's going on in the jail. This was the law that was put into place as of, I believe it was October 7th. It went live to provide medicine to those with opioid addictions. The sum of $41,250 would be going to the jail. So we just want to move it from us to the jail.
I'll move it or second it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Two personnel resolutions. The first is to backfill a vacancy due to a resignation. My deputy director of clinical services, has opted to resign as of December 2nd. So I'd like your support to fill that vacancy. I don't think I need to elaborate in terms of the importance of filling that vacancy. Happy to ask and answer any questions about it. I've already approached the civil service for the permission to go statewide in my search. Normally we go within the county, and then if we need to go beyond that, we go contiguous to the 5 counties that surround Columbia County. But in this instance, I'd like to go statewide, hoping to cast a broader net and, maybe find somebody that would be an appropriate candidate willing to relocate.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The next personnel resolution is just a person that resigned, one of our social workers who was in the behavioral health social worker title. This individual left for the federal government or the Veterans Administration. So I'd like to just keep things tidy and get your permission to backfill that so we can keep an accurate
I'll move it.
account of our vacancies.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
General resolution, this is seeking your authorization to contract with the State University of New York around a student intern. This is unique. Normally when we get student interns of this level, this is for a psychiatric nurse practitioner intern, we don't have to do this, but they're asking us to do this. So I bring this resolution to your attention so that we can engage in an agreement with the State University of New York. Have this person's student, be a student with us.
All right, we had a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Is that individual paid?
Opposed? Carried.
The hope here is that, and this has occurred on a few instances, that this person will materialize as an employee at some point. But there's no guarantees there.
How long is the internship?
Generally about a year. I forget the total number of hours for nurse practitioners, but it's give or take a semester, an academic semester, I should say. Next general resolution is for us to contract with Corzin. This is a recruiter that we're hoping to just maintain our relationship with should the need arise for prescribers or even social workers. This particular employment specialist identifies social workers, licensed social workers. So there should be an edit made to this, though. I believe for psychiatrists, does that say $20,000? It should be $25,000. And for the licensed master plan of social workers, if that says $10,000, it should say $9,500.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. They charge a heavy toll.
They certainly do. And that comparatively, that's not expensive. I can tell you
Right, I
that.
remember.
So it's all relative. Next general resolution has to do with cathode ray media. This is an entity that we contract with to maintain a website for the Columbia Green Addiction Coalition. So I ask for your support in continuing that so that that website and the information that it provides can be maintained.
I'll move it.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next general resolution has to do with contracting with our lead medical consultant, Dr. Carlos Valle. He has communicated to me that he would like to remain with us for what will be his final year. So I ask for your support. He's intending to retire or at least wind down from this particular job. He maintains several jobs. And so he's going to be with us for one more year, it seems.
Is this the same hourly rate as we had discussed last year? If I recall, we had asked to reduce it a little and then he didn't. Is this
I
the
believe
same?
this has gone up slightly to 220. Again, with the industry rate going up, I think it's within reason. I believe his current rate is not much. I think it's 200 at the moment. So we're looking at a $20 an hour bump.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's probably why the headhunter fee is so high, because there's so few people out there that are working that their ability to headhunt
It's
and
part
fill
of the reason.
positions
Yeah.
is so low that they charge more because
They
they
gotta-
say they get 5,000,
Right.
5,000 ahead, and now they can get, yeah, it's.
You're gonna do a little more work.
They call
finding-
me, I get headhunted all the time, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you, so.
Next general resolution has to do with contracting with Upper Hudson Planned Parenthood. This would be the continuing existing contract. They seek our services for two forms of supervision. One for our psychiatric nurse practitioner to provide supervision to an OMH program that they administer. The other supervision is provided by our staff psychologist to their social workers so that their social workers can obtain their LCSW, their licensure being a clinical social worker, as opposed to just a master's level social worker. So the rates involved there for the psychologist to provide the supervision will be $95 an hour, and for the nurse practitioner, $160 an hour.
I'll move
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
it. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And we're
Too
getting
bad we
close.
can't offset it by charging 220, huh?
No, not in that case. Well, we could if we had Dr. Valle provide the supervision, but they couldn't afford it. I know what they're getting from the state to cover this. So we're in the home stretch. General resolution for CCI. This is a behavioral health consultant that we've worked with previously. We like to have them on board for just general consultation at a cost of $4,500. I ask for your support on this so that we can continue this level of support and have them available to us.
What do you do?
All sorts of things. They've given us consultation in terms of billing structure, around clinical matters, around staffing matters.
I'll move it,
So they have diverse resources at their disposal
I get it.
that we can tap into.
Second.
Further discussion?
Thanks, Dan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And in a similar vein, Bonadio Group is a group that we have consulted with historically, had on retainer. They serve in various capacities. Specifically, we'd like to keep them on retainer for consultation for financial matters with regard to the various state aid that we receive for ourselves as a department, and also that we administer out to various providers through the local governmental unit. The Bonadio Group has been very helpful in terms of helping us make sure that we're doing that in an appropriate and conscientious way.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then the next resolution has to do with us maintaining our contractual relationship with another recruiter known as Jackson Coker. For similar reasons, we just want to maintain this relationship so that when a need arises, we can easily tap into them to find prescribers. They focus primarily on prescribers, not so much social workers.
I'll move it.
Second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And lastly, pretty much synonymous as the resolution with Jackson Coker, FCS is another recruiter that we've worked with historically to find prescribers. And again, would like to maintain that relationship so that if we have a need, I can easily tap into multiple recruiters and see what turns up. And also because of Dr. Valla's announcement, it'll be important to replace him in his capacity as our lead medical consultant. That'll be a bit of a larger challenge. So I want as many of these recruiters at my disposal.
You only pay for what you get, right?
Yes.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Further
Which
discussion?
one is that, Dan? Because I didn't have anything after the Jackson.
You know, Kelly,
Packet.
is it in the packet?
I didn't, it's not on the agenda.
I asked Joe if he sent it to you. He did tell me he had it, but
First choice?
yes.
That's bizarre. So it's
So-
first choice.
Yeah, FCS is how it's referred to.
Because you have Bonadeo for FCS Consulting. TFR Consulting.
CFR Consulting, right. And then there's FCS, which is an employment recruiter.
Yeah, because
That was number 9. That should have been general resolution.
yeah, here's your resolutions and it's not on there. So who made the motion?
I think I did. Right? Or you.
I did, I think, yeah, I did, yeah.
You second it?
Second. One or the other.
Thank you.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
It's your turn.
That was one I know.
That's bizarre, man.
I mean,
It's in the
COVID,
packet.
my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your turn.
Oh, gone.
Boom.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
Uh,
Our French, they
Do you want me to?
I thought you didn't have a little sticky tab for me.
Yeah. It's bizarre because whatever's in there was scanned in for this and
Interesting.
it's not in there. All right.
It's a mystery.
We'll get it straightened out.
So what should we do next? Overtime, and we do that real quick and then I'll go into my talking points.
Sure.
Okay. Overtime report is as follows. We budgeted $12,000. We've hardly touched it. We're at $4,261.80. Leaves us with an ending balance of $7,738.20. So we're well below what we budgeted. So in terms of talking points, I just want to update everybody on the opioid settlement dollars. When we left here last month, the understanding that I walked away with was that I was going to formulate a work group comprised of various stakeholders, providers, etc. I've gone ahead and done that. We've had our initial meeting. And what we came away with from that initial meeting is the group felt it was very important to do some sort of community forum to reach out to the public in a way, not just specific to the opioid settlement dollars, but basically to hear from the community what they felt were the needs that needed to be addressed in terms of behavioral health. So we're going to be continuing to work on organizing that and structuring that. Another issue that was felt important is that the actual provider network needs to come together again throughout Columbia County and get a better understanding from one another as to who is doing what services are being provided by which provider, because throughout the pandemic over the past 3 years or so, some programs have atrophied, some have disappeared, others have blossomed. So for us as providers to get together and reacquaint ourselves with one another, hopefully in person, which we're starting to do more of that, and just talk with one another and become very efficient in how we're trying to tackle the problem, whatever that problem may be with regard to behavioral health in our community, whether it's mental health, substance abuse.
Sorry.
All right.
That's gonna be the music. You're gonna have the music.
That's right. That's gonna be the rally. So that was another element. And then lastly, once we've done that, so once we've heard from the public, once we've met as a group of providers to reacquaint ourselves and get a better understanding so there's not redundancy and we've, honed in on proper efficiency, then we could start talking about how to use that money that we have, which isn't a lot. I think we all agreed on that, 2.2 million sounds like a lot, but it's really not, especially as it's being dispersed from now until 2038. How we can best use that money and make those proposals, and how we can create a structure to entertain provider and the community's proposals versus funding things that already exist, such as the mobile crisis assessment team and the field support team. So that's as far as we got in our first meeting. We have another meeting scheduled in a month. And then once the holidays quiet down, we agreed to meet on a more frequent basis, probably bi-weekly. So I hope to be giving you regular reports on this progress. Again, it was an interesting meeting in that, I had it in my head that we were going to stay very, very specific to, the opioid settlement dollars and how they should be spent, and create that structure for how people should be submitting their proposals. But we went a different route, and I'm not opposed to it because I think it makes sense to hear from the public in terms of what they think are the needs, so we can listen to that, and that'll go beyond the opioid settlement dollars. Then when we talk as providers, we'll be able to, again, become more efficient in our efforts, hopefully reduce redundancy, and also maybe assign some tasks to the providers based on what we heard from the public. And then lastly, we can talk about, okay, well, we have this pool of money here that is related to the opioid epidemic, and here's how we can start using it, or taking applications, let's call it, from the community as to what we should fund and where we should use those dollars. Can I answer any questions about that process?
Of course. Who are the group of providers? Is it kind of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So myself, obviously, I'll go around the room mentally because I don't want to leave anybody
Of
out.
course.
The sheriff was present. Carl Quinn from Greener Pathways was present. We had Christy Frederick from the Department of Health. Thank you, Jack, for loaning us Christy. We had Tistria Hotling, our very own supervisor from New Lebanon. We had Danielle hoteling from Twin Counties. We had Under Sheriff Jackie Salvatore, and we had Frank Marshall from Columbia Pathways to Recovery.
Okay. Thank you.
So that rounded out the group.
How about Keith Stack?
I'm happy to have Keith there. I reached out. I got the representation from Carl as far as Twin Counties and Danielle. But if Keith you think should be there, I'm happy to extend an invite. Okay, will do. Any other questions about the opioid settlement and this approach that we've taken?
Sounds good. Now, this is the first settlement of potentially multiple.
Right, the class action lawsuits that I believe entails a total of 3 or 2. I think it's 3. So then, yes, there are the others that I'm hearing about that are pending, still in limbo, not as far along. And then there's the settlement between the pharmaceutical companies and the state. And depending on how that shakes out, we expect dollars to trickle down to the county as well from that. But those are not as far along as what we have in front of us, which is this class action suit that we participated in and yielded roughly $2.2 million to Columbia County.
The first payment, if I recall, is around $500,000.
The amount we expect to have allocated to us in 2022 ends up at $500,000. I believe Jim shared with us that we have received 400 already, and we're just waiting for the remainder by the end of the year.
Any questions for Director Almasi? Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
So if there's no other questions on the opioid settlement, I'd like to ask that we go into executive session briefly so that I can discuss a matter that I feel requires that level of privacy.
Is it personnel contractual?
Is there an other
No.
as a choice?
Litigious.
Be one of the,
Well, we can make,
Help me out here, Tom.
yeah, make a motion to go into executive session based on the personal, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation. Do I have a second?
Sure.
Up here.
Sir, madam?
Cameron, are we back on?
You didn't forget it. Don't get so excited though. You won't even know. And I forgot my.
Well, the cocktails and the pizza have been consumed, so now we bring in the public.
Oh, yeah. Hey, don't make too many jokes on that. Because ours are no cases of that being true. Like in England.
Okay, so we're out of executive session and we will entertain public comment from the public. Sir,
No, that's.
ma'am?
I don't have any
That's the last.
Well, thank you for your interest. That being said, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
I think that's not-
You never